Welcome back to the deep dive. We've got a document on the table today that, well, at first glance, it just looks like a pretty standard government report.
Yeah, standard dry reading, right?
Right. It's the 2025 Year in Review from South Carolina's Critical Infrastructure Cybersecurity Unit.
The SC CIC.
Exactly. But once you actually, peel back that cover page, you realize really quickly this isn't just a report. It's more of it's a dispatch from the front lines.
It really is. It's an invisible war zone.
Yeah. And we basically have the battle maps sitting right here.
When you sit down and really process the numbers we're about to go through, it completely shifts your perspective on what state government work actually entails these days.
Oh, for sure.
Like, it's not just DMV lines and tax forms anymore.
Not even close. I mean, we were talking about a division of SLED, which is the South Carolina Law Enforcement Division. These are the folks who are literally tasked with protecting the assets that keep civilization running for you and me.
Right, the critical stuff. Water treatment plants, the power grids.
Emergency services, government facilities. And just to hit you with the scale of this right off the bat, in just 1 year, in 2025, this unit tracked 85 significant cyber incidents.
And we really need to pause on that word, significant.
Yeah.
Because in the world of critical infrastructure, a significant incident isn't, someone forgetting their password or the office printer jamming.
Right. It's not an IT ticket.
Exactly. A significant incident usually implies a direct threat to operational capability or, worse, public safety. So 85 of those, that is nearly one crisis every 4 days that required state-level intervention.
Man, every 4 days. And on top of those 85 crises, they also analyzed over 2,500 malware files.
2,500.
Yeah. That is 2,500 unique pieces of digital weaponry that they essentially had to disassemble, understand, and then neutralize.
It's the shield. It's the shield protecting the stuff you take for granted every single time you flip a light switch or turn on the tap in your kitchen.
It creates this really fascinating tension, doesn't it? Like, you have the physical world, the pipes, wires, concrete, but it's being defended almost entirely in the digital world.
Absolutely. And you really can't fight a war like that blind. You are honestly only as good as your intelligence and your resources.
Which honestly is the perfect setup to mention the tools that make this level of security even possible in the real world.
Oh, definitely.
Because if you're operating in this industry, you know that knowledge is your only real defense. That's why we want to give a massive shout out right up front to the sponsors who keep this show running and keep you informed.
Vital resources, really.
Yeah, you absolutely need to be checking out www.cisomarketplace.com and www.breached.company.
Yeah, because the threat landscape just moves way faster than the normal news cycle.
It changes daily.
Hourly, sometimes. You need real-time data on breaches and vulnerabilities, and those platforms are what give you the visibility you need to actually stay ahead of the curve.
Absolutely. So let's kind of set the stage here. We have this 2025 year in review. And what struck me immediately wasn't just the sheer volume of attacks, though. Again, 85 incidents is massive, but it was the strategy shift.
The pivot. Yeah.
It feels like SC CIC is moving away from just putting out fires to something much, much more proactive.
That is the big aha moment of this entire document, I think.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Because for decades, cybersecurity, especially at the state and local level, it was entirely reactive.
Like the volunteer fire department model.
Precisely.
Yeah.
You wait for the alarm to ring, you rush to the scene, and you just spray water on the server until the fire goes out.
Or until the server is ruined.
Right. But what SCCIC is doing now, it's fire prevention. They are building what they call a community of defense. They're trying to harden the target before the arrow is even fired.
And the most important part of that target, at least from what I'm reading here, appears to be us, the humans.
Always the weakest link.
Let's unpack this concept they introduce of the Cyber Liaison Officer, or the CLO. Because, it sounds like a very cool title to have on a business card.
It does sound cool.
But it actually seems to be the entire linchpin of their proactive strategy.
Practically speaking, it is a vital piece of infrastructure all on its own.
Ah.
The CLO program is essentially it's a human mesh network across the entire state.
Okay.
And in 2025, they grew this network to 608 officers statewide. That is an increase of 123 people in just one single year.
So paint the picture for us. Who are these 608 people? Are they like SLED agents stationed in every municipal building?
No. And that is exactly why it works so well. These aren't secret agents dropped in from headquarters in Columbia.
Okay.
A CLO is a designated point of contact who already works within the organization itself.
Oh, I see.
So it's a school district IT director or a hospital compliance officer, maybe a local utility manager. They act as the bridge.
So they already know the terrain.
Exactly. So if SLED sees a threat coming down the pipe, say a specific ransomware strain that's targeting water pump systems, they don't just issue some generic press release.
Right.
They push that highly specific intel directly to the 608 CLOs who know exactly which buttons to press in their own facilities to lock things down.
Wow. It turns a localized defense into this massive statewide shield. Like if one person sees something, everyone knows about it instantly.
Exactly. But of course, here is the catch.
There's always a catch.
You can have the absolute best liaison officers in the world at the top, but you still have thousands and thousands of regular employees, the end users.
Right. The accountants, the HR staff, the people running the front reception desk.
Yep. And SC CIC decided they needed to test just how strong that human firewall really was in 2025.
Oh, man. I saw this stat in the report, and I literally had to read it 3 times to make sure I wasn't misunderstanding it. This is the phishing simulation, right?
This is the harsh reality check. They conducted these simulated phishing campaigns where they sent out 16,842 emails to employees across 19 different state organizations.
Just fake malicious emails designed to see if people would take the bait.
Exactly.
How did the state of South Carolina do?
Well, brace yourself. The open rate was 49.73%.
Whoa, stop there. Almost 50%.
Nearly half.
You literally flip a coin, and that is the odds that a government or infrastructure employee is going to open a highly suspicious email.
Yes. Half of the recipients opened the email. Now, to be fair, opening the email isn't a full breach, but it is the critical first step.
Sure.
But then you have to look at the next layer. Of those people, 5.37% went a step further and actually clicked the malicious link.
Oh, no.
And 3.66% actually typed in their credentials.
That just feels incredibly high to me. I mean, we have been talking about don't click suspicious links for, 20 years now?
At least.
Now, it's literally the first thing you learn in any corporate orientation. Why is the open rate hitting 50%? Are people just getting lazy or not listening?
It's really not about not listening. It's about the evolution of the attack itself. We aren't seeing those old Prince of Nigeria emails offering you gold bars anymore.
Right, the obvious scams.
The report specifically highlights a new trend called click-fix, or sometimes it's called the fake CAPTCHA attack. And if you haven't seen this in the wild yet, it is incredibly nasty stuff.
I have heard rumblings of this in the industry. Walk us through how a click-fix attack actually plays out for the everyday user.
It's brilliant in a deeply terrifying psychological way. So you visit a website, maybe you click the link in an email that looked exactly like a legitimate internal SharePoint document.
Okay, pretty standard so far.
Then a pop-up appears.
Yeah.
It looks exactly like a standard verify you are human CAPTCHA screen.
Oh, and we've all done thousands of those, right? Clicking all the squares with traffic lights or crosswalks.
Right, it's total muscle memory at this point. We don't even think about it. But this one is different. It pops up and says, verification failed. Current browser security is blocking the verification. And then it helpfully offers you a solution.
Oh, I don't like where this is going.
It says, to prove you're human, simply copy this code and paste it into your computer's terminal.
Oh, wow. So they are actively leveraging the user's frustration with technology against them.
Precisely. The user's just annoyed. They think, stupid computer, I just need to access this file for my meeting. They genuinely think they're performing a technical fix, hence the name ClickFix.
Wow.
So they copy the text, open their terminal, paste it in, and hit enter.
And what did they just paste into their system?
Almost always a malicious PowerShell script.
Oh, boy.
By pasting that, they're completely bypassing the browser's security sandbox. They're explicitly telling their own computer, I am the admin and I command you to run this code.
It just downloads the malware immediately.
Instantly. And it totally bypasses the standard don't click links training because in the user's mind, you aren't clicking a link, you're performing a required system fix.
That is just devious. It completely weaponizes our desire to be helpful and just get the job done. It basically turns the end user into the hacker.
It absolutely does. Now, SC CIC responded to this really fast. When they saw this trend spiking, they immediately trained 653 users specifically on these exact click-fix tactics.
Which is great.
It is, but it just shows that the human element is still the biggest, most unpredictable variable. As our network firewalls get stronger and stronger, the attackers are just pivoting to the softest target left, which is the human brain.
Which actually brings us to a really important point for you listening right now. If the attacks are getting this smart, using AI, using applied psychology, using our own helpfulness against us, we have to be smarter.
We have no choice.
And that is exactly why I'm so excited about what our friends at Packt Publishing are doing.
This is honestly the perfect context for this. We are literally talking about human risk and highly sophisticated AI attacks, and that is exactly what their workshop addresses.
Listen closely. Packt Publishing is hosting a live high-intensity workshop called AI Defense in Action. And here is the kitcher it is happening today.
Hey.
February 21st, starting at 9 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. So if you are listening to this right as it drops in your feed, you have very little time.
And this isn't just some basic, don't click links webinar. This is built for security leaders and practitioners to actually build human risk KPIs, conduct advanced red team tests, and create defense playbooks that are actively aware of these AI threats like clickfix.
It's all about building a defense architecture that assumes the human will make a mistake. And because you are listening to this deep dive right now, you can get a 40% discount.
That's massive.
But this is the absolute last call. You need to check the episode description, grab that 40% code, and get into that workshop before it starts at 9 a.m. EDT. If you want to stop the next click fix in your org, you really need this Packt Publishing training.
Education is honestly the only way to close that 50% open rate gap.
Yeah.
There is simply no software patch for human curiosity or frustration.
So true. Okay, so we've covered the people. Let's shift gears and talk about the machines. In the report, there's a section titled Hardening the Target. And one acronym just kept popping up over and over again, AD, Active Directory.
Yeah, AD is the central backbone of almost every corporate network on Earth. If you want a really simple analogy, it's the company phone book, the master key ring, and the ID badge office all rolled into one.
Okay.
It controls who is allowed to log in, what specific files they can see, and what computers they can even access.
So if a hacker manages to compromise your Active Directory,
They literally hold the keys to the kingdom. They can just create new admin accounts for themselves out of thin air, access any confidential file, and even completely lock you out of your own system. It is the absolute holy grail for attackers.
so what did SC CIC do about it in 2025?
They went on the offensive. They conducted 52 in-depth Active Directory assessments last year. They essentially plugged into these organizations, local government facilities, healthcare providers, utilities, and ran deep scans to find hidden misconfigurations.
What kind of misconfigurations are we talking about here? Like, what are they finding?
That's things like ghost admin.
Ghost admin.
Yeah, accounts that have full administrative power but haven't actually been logged into by a human for 3 years.
Oh, wow. Just sitting there waiting to be hijacked.
Exactly, or weak password policies.
Yeah.
Or service accounts that just have way too much permission for what they actually need to do.
And did the assessments actually help fix the problem?
Significantly. The organizations that participated improved their overall security scores by an average of 22% right after the assessment.
That is a massive jump. That's closing nearly a quarter of your entire vulnerability gap just by having someone come in, look under the hood, and clean up the mess.
It really is. It's about closing all those back doors you didn't even know were standing wide open. But the interesting thing is, they didn't just stop at on-premise servers. We all know the whole world has moved to the cloud, so SC CIC actually launched a brand new service specifically targeting Microsoft 365.
Right, the Microsoft 365 security assessments. I saw in the report they partnered with a company called Soteria for this.
Yes, they utilize a specialized tool called 365 Inspect. See, moving everything to the cloud is fantastic for convenience, but it introduces this thing called the shared responsibility model, which trips a lot of people up constantly. Microsoft secures the physical servers in their data centers, but you, the customer, are solely responsible for configuring your own security settings.
And I imagine a lot of these organizations just leave all the default settings on.
They absolutely do, and that is incredibly dangerous. It's like buying a state-of-the-art, high-tech safe and just leaving the factory code as 00000.
Right.
This new assessment checks identity security, data loss prevention protocols, all those invisible granular settings that actually keep cloud data safe. It forces organizations to wake up and realize that set it and forget it just doesn't work in cybersecurity.
Now, hearing all this detailed AD assessments, specialized cloud tools, third-party partners like Soteria, this all sounds incredibly expensive.
It usually is.
So how are local governments in South Carolina, like we're talking small towns, rural water boards, How are they paying for this?
That is the beauty of the SLCGP.
The state and local cybersecurity grant program.
Exactly. It's federal money that gets funneled down through the state specifically to help the little guys who don't have a massive budget.
Well,
Through this grant, SLAG actually partnered with Checkpoint Software Technologies.
I saw that name featured prominently in the report, and the deployment numbers were really impressive.
They protected 22,484 endpoints.
Wow.
That's over 22,000 individual laptops, servers, and desktops, fully protected with EDR and MDR.
Okay, let's unpack those two acronyms for a second because they are crucial to understanding modern defense. EDR and MDR. What is the listener actually getting when they deploy this?
Okay, so think of endpoint detection and response EDR, kind of like a smart burglar alarm installed on every single window and door of a house. It's the software layer. If someone tries to pry a window open, which is the equivalent of trying to install malware, the alarm immediately goes off and automatically locks the window.
Okay, so EDR is that automated software layer. What about MDR?
Managed Detection and Response MDR is the human element behind the software. It's an elite security team monitoring those alarms 24/7.
Oh, I see.
So if an alarm goes off at 3 a.m. because of some brand new zero-day attack or a highly complex ransomware strain that the automated software isn't quite sure how to handle.
Because the software can't catch everything.
Right. A human expert sitting at the Checkpoint Security Operations Center sees it instantly, analyzes the behavior, and manually shuts the attack down.
That is a total game changer for a small-town municipality. I mean, I've spoken to plenty of local government IT directors. Usually, IT director just means one guy named Steve, who also has to fix the jammed printers, manage the town website, and set up the projector for city council meetings.
Exactly. Steve needs to sleep.
Right.
The MDR team doesn't. It gives Steve an entire global security team backing him up without needing $1 million municipal budget.
So we have the human firewall being aggressively tested with the phishing sims. We have the infrastructure being hardened with these AD and cloud assessments. Now let's talk about the part of the report that honestly felt the most cinematic to me, the war games.
Yes, the simulations. This is where the rubber really meets the road for these teams.
The report talks about these readiness exercises, but they make it clear these aren't just paper quizzes or tabletop discussions. They did live engagements with 14 different organizations, and 4 of them included what they call adversary emulation. That sounds intense.
It is extremely intense. Adversary emulation means the SC CIC team actively mimics the exact behavior of a real, sophisticated hacker. They don't just run a scanner looking for open ports. They actively try to establish persistence.
What does that mean exactly, persistence?
It means breaking into the network and finding a clever way to stay hidden inside. Real hackers don't just smash and grab. They want to hide a backdoor so they can come back later, maybe months later. In these exercises, the SC CIC team simulates exactly that. They try to move laterally from one computer to another without tripping alarms. They are testing the organization's live response in real time.
So it's basically a live sparring match. You're getting in the ring with a pro boxer just to see if you can remember to keep your hands up.
And it is the absolute best way to learn. You do not want to find out that your incident response plan is completely broken during a real ransomware attack at 2 a.m. You want to find out when it's the good guys testing you on a Tuesday afternoon.
They also mention using these platforms called Cyberbit and Cyber Defenders.
Yeah, these are dedicated training platforms. Cyberbit is essentially a cyber range. It's a cloud-hosted, highly realistic simulation of a corporate network that is currently under attack.
Like a flight simulator, but for IT teams.
Exactly. They have to jump in and defend the virtual network against live automated attacks. Cyber Defenders is a bit more focused on individual technical skills, things like digital forensics and malware analysis. And in its very first year, they already had 82 participants digging into these online labs.
It's all about building that muscle memory. But honestly, my absolute favorite part of the whole report, and I think this captures the spirit of the SC CIC perfectly, was the big conference they held in August.
Oh, yeah.
You have 120 cyber liaison officers show up, and what do they find waiting for them? A lockpick village.
Foxpick, yes. This was definitely a highlight of the year.
I just love the mental image of all these high-tech cyber professionals who spend all their days fighting invisible malicious code, sitting down at a table with physical lockpicks trying to crack a basic brass padlock. It seems almost, I don't know, counterintuitive.
It seems disconnected from the digital stuff, sure. But it's actually deeply relevant. First off, it actively teaches you about physical security.
Because that matters too.
Hugely. If a hacker can't break through your $1 million firewall, but they can just pick the physical lock on the server room door and plug in a $10 USB drive, you're still hacked.
Game over.
The physical layer is layer one of cybersecurity.
True. But is there a deeper, maybe philosophical lesson there too?
Absolutely there is. Lockpicking breaks down the mystique of security. It teaches you that every single system, whether it's a brass padlock from the hardware store or a massive cloud identity provider, was built by a human. It follows a strict set of mechanical or logical rules, and therefore it has a flaw if you just know where to look.
Wow.
It actively teaches the hacker mindset, curiosity,
Yeah.
taking things apart just to see how they work.
And that mindset is entirely necessary because the threat landscape they're monitoring is just incredibly vast. Just to give you all a quick snapshot of what they were up against in 2025. SC CIC continuously monitored over 193,000 IP addresses.
That is a massive, massive dragnet for a state agency.
They took down 328 malicious sites. And those are fake login pages, scam sites, infrastructure specifically set up to trick the citizens of South Carolina.
And critically, they identified over 1,700 leaked credentials just floating around on the dark web.
1,700 keys to the front door that they managed to snatch back before the burglars could actually use them.
Right. And you have to remember, every single one of those targeted takedowns or credential identifications potentially stopped one of those 85 significant incidents we mentioned at the very start of the show.
Right, the crises that didn't happen.
It's largely invisible work, but it is saving the state millions of dollars and avoiding massive public disruption.
So looking at the big picture here, 2025 was obviously a very busy year for the unit. What is the plan for 2026? What does the report actually say about the future?
The core focus for 2026 is expansion and connection. They want to do a lot more in-person training. They realize that the human network, those 608 CLOs, they really need face-to-face interaction to build genuine trust.
Yeah, it's pretty hard to build a solid defensive alliance over a Zoom call.
Exactly. They're also actively hiring, expanding the internal team to handle this ever-growing workload.
Yeah.
And they are aggressively growing their external partners program.
Right, the report noted they currently have 12 formal partners, but they clearly want to grow that number.
Yes. This includes state associations, federal agencies, and key private sector partners. The ultimate goal is to make absolutely sure no critical infrastructure entity in South Carolina is operating as an island.
Right.
If a water plant in the upstate gets hit with a brand new malware strain, the electric co-op on the coast needs to know about it 5 minutes later. That's the real-time network they're building.
It's seriously impressive. It really drives home the overarching point that modern cybersecurity isn't just software anymore. It's a community. It's the CLOs, it's the hands-on practice in the cyber ranges, it's the physical lockpicking, and it's the deep active directory scans. It's a full, comprehensive ecosystem.
And it has to be, because the attackers are an ecosystem too.
That's a great point.
They share tools, they share stolen credentials, they literally sell access to each other. We have to be better at collaborating than they are.
Well said. So before we wrap up today, I want to give one final huge thank you to the sponsors who make this deep dive possible. www.cisomarketplace.com and www.breached.company. Go bookmark them right now. If you want to know what the bad guys are doing before they do it to you, that is exactly where you look.
And seriously, listeners, look at your watch right now. If it is before 9 a.m. EDT on February 21st, do not wait. Click the link in the description for Packt Publishing. The AI Defense in Action workshop is about to start.
We talked heavily about ClickFix today. We talked about how nearly 50% of people are opening phishing emails. This Packt Publishing workshop gives you the actual practical tools to fix that human risk. You do not want to miss the 40% discount or the content.
It is easily the best investment you can make this morning.
So here is the thought I really want to leave you with today as we close out. We spent a lot of time talking about that ClickFix attack. We are clearly entering an era where hackers aren't just breaking our codes anymore. They are convincing us to break them ourselves.
Yeah.
They're tricking us into manually pasting malicious commands into our own terminals just to prove we are human.
It's a dark paradox, isn't it? To prove we are human, we have to act blindly like machines and execute the very code that destroys us.
It really is. So as we move into 2026, ask yourself this. If the bad guys can totally bypass your $1 million state-of-the-art firewall just by asking you nicely to copy and paste a line of text, is the firewall dead? Or does the definition of firewall just need to drastically expand to include the living, breathing person sitting in the chair?
That is the ultimate question for 2026.
Thanks for diving in with us today. Stay safe, verify your clicks, and we will see you on the next one.